Yep, kills his own Narcomoeba, makes 3 more zombies. Now what? Dredge back Dark Blast again?
Starts pushing those guys towards the red zone. Yep.
Yeah, dredges back Dark Blast again. Another Narcomoeba. Grave Troll and...
another bridge, it looks like.
On the 4th bridge.
You can play Ravenous Troph. I can play other spells.
I don't see how Martin pulls this off. Shimizu's got 13 life. He's got infinite zombies. Not infinite, but enough.
Certainly controls the ground here.
Yeah. And looks like the zombies are heading in. So 6 zombies. Juza can block. He can eat one with a Tarmogoyf.
He has to block with...
He can block one with Goblin Guide.
Has to block one with Gaddock as much as he would... Well, I guess he can.
I mean, his Lightning Helix means he doesn't actually die to this.
He's keeping Dread Return at bay, but he knows that there's another 4 tokens in his future right now, assuming that there's a Dark Blast in response to his guys dying. Remember, when his guys die...
Well, he can kill... Can he kill the guy? Oh, he can...
When his Goblin Guy dies, the bridges are going to go away.
Oh, right, right.
But without that island, there's not enough reach even with a top deck.
Is he going to be able to attack on the ground?
Sure.
To you.
Helix to the face. So that'll get him up to 10 so that he can survive 9 damage here. 10 to 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 damage coming through. Jesus going to leave himself at 1.
Kill the bridges, but...
Naoki's
just going to respond and Dark Blast his other Narcomoeba, I would assume, and just get 4 more goblins to clog up the ground. 4 more zombies to clog up the ground.
Yeah, that does seem like the right play.
Could also Dark Blast his zombies so that it doesn't... Goblin Guy doesn't die. I don't see much point in that, but he could.
Before damage.
Oh. All right, before damage. Dark Blast, the unblocked Narcomoeba, rather than the untapped Narcomoeba. It's like putting it at 2. He's content to put Juza at 2 and get 4 more zombies.
He would just rather keep more guys.
More
back.
blockers, yeah.
Resolve.
Now damage resolves. Goblin Guy dies to that 1 zombie. That'll trigger all the bridge from belows. All 4 of them get removed from the game. Martin needs to draw Pyroclasm. Pyroclasm would be really good here. Unfortunately, not in his deck.
He drew the second Tribal Flames.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shimizu's at 10. 2 Tribal Flames would do it if he had all 5 land types, but
he only has 1 island in the deck.
There's always a chance we're missing something, but I don't see where the blue mana comes from for the full power Tribal Flames. All right. Martin lines up an attack.
And he only has 7 lands. That produce man, he can't afford that much.
He can't even... It's 2 fetch lands, right?
Yeah.
He can't even afford to crack them both, which is what he would need to do.
That's true.
In order to cast 2 Tribal Flames. So yeah, tries to attack for damage, but Shimizu, of course, attacks.
Does not take anything.
Shows him 2 Tribal Flames.
Not enough? You play both? No, I can't play it because I have double. Yeah.
Yeah.
Martin just
Naomi Shimizu wins the match.
Blue-red land because it milled, the crab milled the blue-red land.
So the
Martin Juza figured out those random Hedron crabs.
What could go wrong with me milling you? I mean, there's no
randomly took the only blue mana out of Martin Juza's deck. Was unable to turn on double tribal flames. That game, I think Juza wins that game if he can go get the blue land.
I'm not even sure. I'm not sure that he does though. He can't afford to sack the land.
He would have done it earlier though.
Sure.
Like he could have played it to. He could have played the top deck tribal flames that turn and be playing for lethal. I feel like he could have played it a little.
He could play the game differently, but he still has to draw the cards in the right sequence.
Yeah, that's right. So Martin Juza loses. He will be second in the Player of the Year race when the dust settles from this weekend. Shimizu wins 3 games to 2. All 4 quarterfinals have gone to 5, and we've now got 2 Zoo decks through the semis, and they're being joined by a Dredge. Watanabe versus Burton is this similar archetype battle. It's Dredge on one side, it's Zoo on the other.
So, an interesting note about where we're at on the semifinals right now.
Mm-hmm.
Martin has obviously been hanging around with the Japanese players. He's going to be in Key West hanging out with Japanese players. He noticed that of the top 30 players going into day 2, 10 of them were Japanese.
Yeah, it's like every third player.
So every third player. Going into the semifinals, it could be
3 out of 4.
It could be 3 out of 4.
Yeah,
depending on
true.
how you handle.
It was 3 of the 8 in the top. 3 of the top 8.
And now we're 2 of 4.
Yeah, 2 of 3.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this matchup. This will be the last game of the quarters. Hunter Burton, the hometown hero. He's from Texas, American player. It's his first PT top 8. He does have a Grand Prix top 8 on his resume. And he shuffled up a Zoo deck, not the typical build. Molten Rain is really the key card that differentiates his deck. The other card that he's running that not many other people have is Geopede. So he went all the way up to 8 landfall monsters. You know, fetch land for a land. Your Step Lynxes can go to 4 power. Your Geopedes can go to 5 power. Although, to be fair, he's not been real happy with the Geopede piece of the engine.
He sides those out quite often.
Yeah, he's been sideboarding out Geopedes. They're just not worth investing 2 mana in, it turns out. But the Molten Rain, the decision he made to run Molten Rain, he is convinced was absolutely spot on. He felt like everybody should be running these. They're just awesome. And they have served him well. He has yet to drop a match of Extended. 9-0-1 on the weekend so far. And he went up 2 games, but Watanabe came back. Watanabe won Game 3, won Game 4. He's trying to go to the semis. He was on the team last year. He's got 4 Grand Prix top 8s in a row, a couple of Grand Prix wins. He's the leader coming into this tournament in the Player of the Year race. He's now extended his lead over most of the competition. Yuza has kept pace with him, but Yuza was a good 8 points behind him, so if Watanabe wins here, he opens up a double-digit lead in the Player of the Year race. People really comparing this to the run Kai Bude had, where he had 3 Grand Prix wins, setting up his first Pro Tour top 8 at Worlds 99, which he then won. He was the world champion. He was the Player of the Year. Everybody at the time was like, who is this Kai Bude guy? But the people who'd been watching the Grand Prix circuit knew all about him.
And to be fair, Yuya comes in with a little more advanced billing. He's got a Rookie of the Year title. He came right out of the gates onto the Pro Tour, did some strong finishes, strong Grand Prix finishes, enough to rack up Rookie of the Year points.
Yeah, Kai couldn't win Rookie of the Year that year. The competition was way too hard. Yeah, Kai's Rookie of the Year was 97, where I won the Rookie of the Year title.
So you'll always have that over Kai.
I guess. I did not exactly headline the class, though, for the Hall of Fame.
So Hunter also has some recent GP success. He did top 16 Grand Prix Seattle.
All right. Yeah, I believe that's how he qualified for this event, actually.
Yep, that's where his invite comes from.
So is that a 1-2 Tarmogoyf?
Looks like 2 lands, yeah. It's a 1-2 Tarmogoyf. They have a tendency they grow up so fast.
They do grow up pretty fast. So Watanabe cracks a fetch land for a Watery Grave.
At the end of his turn. He's conserving his life total.
Yep. And a random Hedron Crab from Shimizu really did win him the game.
Yeah.
Spilling the only blue land into Juice's graveyard.
Yeah, it's funny. The graveyards were both off camera, so we weren't quite sure what was going on. It didn't look like Shimizu was milling himself, but he was milling Juza because he was worried about running out of cards.
Yeah.
You know, and he didn't have to mill Yuza. He just wanted to.
Chose to.
What
Absolutely.
could go wrong?
All right, glimpse the unthinkable. Watanabe is set up to mill himself. Land. Ideas unbound. There's a Dread return. Hedron Crab. Land. A Narcomoeba. Drowned Rusalka. What an awful dredge. Well, it's not a dredge, but what an awful mill.
Yeah.
10 cards, 0 dredge cards. And nothing engine-y either. No bridges, no dredge. He did get a dread return, but there's nothing to bring back with it.
Just
the one lonely Narcomoeba.
And this is how you're.
Oh, but what that did accomplish is it grew up Tarmogoyf.
Yeah.
Great job. Now there's a sorcery. Now there's. Okay, Lightning Helix has killed the Narcomoeba. That puts an instant in the graveyard. Tarmogoyf comes over for 4?
15.
Go. Yeah, it looks like 4, and the Coddle file is down. So is Hunter Burton going to be the Watanabe Slayer? Are we going to have 3 Zoo decks in the semis, or is it going to be 2 apiece for Dredge and Zoo?
Which we determined the 2 most popular archetypes?
Yeah. Zoo was by far the most played. Dredge was number 2, although only about half as many.
Narrowly number 2, right?
Yeah, Dark Depths was not very far behind that. It was a decent. Next Level Blue, I believe, was also reasonably highly played.
I mean, to be fair, you could see just about every extended deck you saw.
Oh, the field was incredibly diverse.
People playing Affinity.
I mean, it was over 20% Zoo. Where I mean, if you define Zoo as I crack a fetch land for Wild and the Coddle in the first turn,
sure.
I mean that's essentially the working definition of Zoo, and that almost every 4th deck, like 23% of the field. But after that, you know, the Dredge deck was the next highest, was barely 10%, maybe 12%. So a lot of diversity once you get beyond the Zoo decks, and within the Zoo archetypes, there were 17 or 38 different variants. Like, definitely some very distinct decks within that basic fetch land, Nakatl mana base.
So, looking at Watanabe's hand, it looks like he's drawn his dredgers, by the way.
Well, he needs a way to discard them then.
He does have an ideas unbound, which seems to be the math he's doing. He's like,
sure.
He's like, do I have time, though?
This is, what, turn 3?
Yeah, this is his turn 3.
I mean, he really wants to get one into the graveyard before he resolves on Diaz Unbound, right? I mean, because if he just draws 3 and discards, then he's got to do something else next turn, right? He does not play the Drowned Rusalkas, right? He's got Magus of the Bazaar as his extra enabler, where Shimizu had the Rusalkas.
Right. So, just for you at home, Watanabe's list is 4 Hedron Crab, 4 Rusalka, 4 Narcomoeba. He has 3 Bloodghast, 4 each of Troll and Imp, a Life from the Loam, 4 Glimpse, 3 Ideas, 4 Bridge from Below, 3 Dread Return, a Sphinx, a Flamekin, an Iona, and then a bunch of lands. So yeah, the Glimpse is something that's not in Shimizu's deck.
It was interesting. Coming into this top 8, it really seemed to be all about the Player of the Year race. Right? We knew coming into this Pro Tour, it felt like it was all about the Player of the Year race with this incredibly tight top 6 within 8 points of each other. We saw 3 of the top 8 be top 8 POY characters. That said, 2 of them have already lost.
Yep.
Right? Juza, 2nd in the POY now, lost in the quarters. Paulo, 7th in the Player of the Year race, also lost in the quarters. If Watanabe loses here, you've got all 3 of your POY contenders exiting in the quarters. That'd be pretty surprising. Definitely not the way people predicted this.
Certainly makes the race even more interesting going down the stretch.
Yeah, it'll stay close. Watanabe will have the decent lead, but all right, he decides he's got to go on Diaz Unbound. Very disappointed to be drawing 3 off the top instead of dredging.
He's going to discard 2 dredgers.
Does what he's got to do. So needed a way to discard, and that was all he had access to. So after this match, we'll take a lunch break. We got some pretty interesting thing queued up over lunch, though. We're actually going to show the finals of the Magic Online Live Series. That's a side event that happened here this weekend. A couple $1,000s in prize money for people playing Magic Online Zendikar drafts here in the site on the big monitors that are set up over by public events.
Ended up being a couple local guys.
Yeah, it did. It's a pretty good match. We recorded it earlier. Not going to tell you how it turns out because it's a pretty interesting match. So stay tuned and enjoy that over lunch. Misty Rainforest Fetch is the play here from Watanabe. Basic Island.
Concerned about.
Does have one Molten Rain target, though, so
yeah.
One's probably enough. Gives it a good shuffle. What's he got? Does he have anything to do with that one island?
I don't believe
there's not much, right?
I believe he's just going to cross his islands and hope he doesn't die next turn.
Not that much danger of dying, right? 3, 7. I guess he gets to 7.
Then Hunter does not have his light.
Oh, he does have Drowned Rusalka.
Okay.
Oh, it's Glimpse versus the. What am I? Sorry.
Yeah, Glimpse is the Magus is the different card, right? They both have Drowned Rusalka, but one has
Magus. Okay.
One has Magus and one has Glimpse, the Unthinkable.
Yeah, sorry, I misread those deck lists. Double Bloodghast and Golgari Grave Troll were the discards.
He's going to Helix that.
Helix the Rusalka.
I don't like your shenanigans. No bridges and all of that.
All right, Burton goes up to 22.
Yuya goes
Rusalka
down
dies.
to 7.
Yuya goes down to 7. He's got half his life. No Rusalka means he's not going to get to dredge something back with it.
I mean, he will get Bloodghast back, but they can't block.
True. Spends his turn dredging a Grave Troll. What does he get? Needs some help. Narcomoeba. Hedron Crab doesn't help. Ideas Unbound. He can't dredge anything. Oh, what is that? Is that Ravenous Trap? Ravenous Trap as a response. So all those cards got milled, and it's a trap. Bye-bye Graveyard.
Oh, this looks like...
Hunter Burton, the hometown hero, looking good. Summon Stinkweed Imp. That will potentially trade with Tarmogoyf. But if Hunter Burton's got a burn spell, this is over. And Watanabe will be slain.
Plays a land. Says, please don't have a burn spell.
Yeah. Burn spell is lethal here.
Path to Exile is lethal here.
Yeah. So the winner of this game takes on Brian Kibler in the semifinals.
Is that the first trap we've seen in the?
Yeah, first trap of the top 8.
No, that could have been a quest.
Yeah, Ravenous Trap, perfect for lunchtime. Hunter Burton draws his card and looks like he's lining up an attack. Stinkweed living the dream. I got into play and I killed a Tarmogoyf. He'll be telling his friends about this for years.
I got him to 8.
But Nakatl deals 3. Watanabe down to 4. What does Hunter have left in his hand? Looks like a Gaddock Teeg?
Gaddock Teeg and a Ravenous Trap.
Oh, and another trap. Jeez. And he declines to play it.
Well, he didn't have a trap trigger on it, right?
No, I mean Gaddock Teeg.
Right, because he wants to keep his trap. The Gaddock Teeg will shut off his trap.
Oh, interesting. He can't summon his own Gaddock Teeg because it would prevent him from playing his Ravenous Trap. Stinkweed Imp gets resummoned. It can potentially trade with Nakatl. This is the best Stinkweed Imp ever.
I've had limited games like this.
Yeah. Yeah, Hunter says go. Stinkweed really is holding off the army. And the fact that Stinkweed Imp, he got it into the graveyard the old-fashioned way. It's like the trap nailed his graveyard, but Stinkweed went into play, died in combat, able to come back, and now here's a Dark Blast getting dredged. Jeez. How many cards do you need to trigger the trap? Do you have to mill?
No, the trap is if one of... if one of your...
It's 3?
It's 3? Yeah.
All right, summons an additional Stinkweed. Stinkweed getting in there on the attack. Watanabe, totally calm. Yeah, no, I knew this could come up. Sometimes you just got to summon Stinkweed Imps and attack them. I've got him down to 20. Now he's down to 19. Summon an Archamoeba. Yeah, that'll double the clock. Eventually, he's got to draw something, right? Okay, Curtave.
No dredge from...
Yeah, just drawing off the top for Watanabe.
Says, what is not left in my deck?
Yeah, a big chunk of his... Yeah, I think we're round about plan D right now. Big chunk of his graveyard has been removed by Ravenous Trap.
I think Stinkweed Imp attacking is flattered to be called plan D.
Stinkweed back to defense. Got to hold off a Curtave. Narcomoeba's a little more used to attacking.
Stinkweed Imp's like, I could take him. I could take him.
Narcomoeba not used to getting summoned, but does at least do his fair share of the attack.
Oh, and there's a Molten
Rain. There's Molten Rain on the Watery Grave.
Get you down to 2.
Yeah. And it makes just about any burn spell lethal.
Well, and then at this point, then he also is... I assume he's going to auto attack with both of these guys and, maybe set off the trap.
Sure. What's Watanabe thinking about?
He's looking at his hand, whether he wants to maybe Dark Blast something before combat.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You can't be worried about another Ravenous Trap. Turns out Hunter Burton has another Ravenous Trap in his hand. There's no way Watanabe can play around that. All right, 2 to 18.
Would you not attack there into both of those?
It
and
seems
just
like attack.
Get rid of his
die. You trap the graveyard,
and you get rid of his.
You get the Dark Blast too.
You get the Dark Blast and both of his Stinkweed Imps.
Yep.
He has to block.
It looked tempting.
And then you just get him on your next. I guess he's just like, all right, I'll just keep playing spells.
Plays a Tarmogoyf.
I mean, he's going to draw a Burn Spell or a Molten Rain before.
Yeah.
Before anything. There's no reason to get super tricky.
Yeah, you use up your trap if that happens. I think he'd rather just, if they both draw 5 cards and then he traps, I think he's happier. It's not like he's under any pressure.
Sure.
And now here he can attack with all 3, turn a profit on the attack, or summon Knight of the Reliquary.
5/5.
He's a 5/5. Yeah, I think you attack there. Yeah.
No more attacking.
Watanabe is forced to leave everybody on defense.
There's a wild Nicodle.
Nicodle. Hunter Burton wants to win it with this one attack.
He's like, I just want to have the numbers.
Yeah, okay, he's good to go.
He gets a Treetop Village.
Sure. He's got Hunter Burton.
You hear a smattering of applause from the Texas.
Yeah, this is the local guy. We have 2 Americans through to the semifinals here. If he finishes this off, he's got 5 attackers and a treetop and a burn spell off the top, and there it is. Hunter Burton takes out Player of the Year leader Yuya Watanabe 3 games to 2. All 4 quarterfinal matches went to 5 games. 3 of them were won by the Zoo players. Shimizu wins with Dredge. So in the semifinals, it'll be Tsuyoshi Ikeda with Spectral Zoo playing against Naoki Shimizu's Dredge deck. Ikeda took out Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa, denying Paulo any more points for the Player of the Year race. The other side, Shimizu took out Yuza, leaving Yuza in 2nd in the Player of the Year race. Hunter Burton, we just watched it. His Molten Zoo plays in the semifinals against Kibler's Ruben Zoo. Those are my 2 favorite Zoo decks. Those feel like they were the most innovative. I mean, all three of these were the sort of innovative takes on the Zoo archetype.
Yeah, the most traditional looking was Martin uses.
Yeah, it was. That's fair. Martin's is essentially Gaze might get there, except now it's a Lars might.
Right.
Sort of domain. I mean, you saw other people take it in a dark direction, and Martin's build looked fine, but, I mean, there's no signature thing that stood out as like, oh, wow, I hadn't really seen that done. But Ikeda, thanks to an assist from Hall of Famer Tsuyoshi Fujita, Spectral Procession, good against the field. There's going to be all these Dark Depths decks, and you know what? That's the pairing he got in the quarterfinals, exactly the way they drew it up. These Spectral Processions are going to give me an edge against the new Dark Depths deck that everybody is so excited about, so that worked out for Ikeda.
And his version's also a little more mid-rangey. It sort of approaches it's a little closer to the Ruben Zoo in that he seems to have slightly bigger creatures. He's not relying on as many one-drops.
That's fair. And meanwhile, yeah, Ben Rubin, and the other Hall of Famer that built a top 8 deck for this tournament, hands Kibler the deck, Burn Willows for Punishing Fire, incredibly innovative combo that I'm sure is going to spread all over this format and all kinds of different archetypes. But Kibler's getting paid off right now for having built that. And his sideboard was totally loaded for Bear. He had 12 different sideboard cards he could bring in for the Hypergenesis matchup, got the Hypergenesis matchup, got paid off for his preparation there. And you know what? He dropped the first game, but he managed to win 3 of the 4 sideboarded games thanks to an ocean of hate cards and the timely Baneslayer Angel.
He dropped the first 2 games.
Yeah.
And then came back from an 0-2 hole.
And Hunter Burton has been doing better than anybody. 10-0-1 in extended now. Molten Rains have just been wrecking people. Time walks right and left. So be interested to see how he does against Kibler. We're ready for lunch at this point. Stay tuned. We'll watch the Magic Online Live Series Championship match. And we'll be back with the semifinals after lunch. So stay tuned.